$35 million. And the property tax bill is smaller than what some people pay for a luxury car lease. 2,506 acres, almost 3 central parks, side by side, in the middle of Tennessee. And 2 miles from the front gate. Ford is quietly building the single biggest investment in this state's history. We'll get to that. Pitchfork Farm. This is Pitchfork Farm in Haywood County, Tennessee. 6 bedrooms, 8 bathrooms, 10,000 square feet, built in 2023. Sitting on land that's been farmed since long before anyone thought to put a house on it. But the house isn't even the interesting part. Not yet. Pretend, for a minute, that you bought this. Your commute is a mile of asphalt, cut through your own hayfields, from the front gate to your front door. Everything past that gate, the crops, the equipment, the staff running it, is already yours the day you close. $2,506 acres. That's roughly, for square miles, bigger than the island of Manhattan south of Central Park. Line it up against other places, and it gets stranger. Almost 25 Monacos, nearly 30 Disneylands, fit inside one Tennessee farm. Walk the boundary line, and you're looking at a full day on foot. Drive it, and you're still on gravel for most of an hour. Put it another way, the farm's internal road network alone is 7.7 miles long. Walking it at a normal pace takes something like 2.5 hours, one direction. And almost all of it works for a living. The house sits right above a 6-acre lake with its own 2-slip dock. Walk in, and the kitchen is built for people who actually cook. Dual sub-zero refrigerators, Wolf appliances, a butler's pantry, and an island cut from a single custom slab of zinc. The living spaces open straight onto covered porches with fireplaces and overhead heaters. This house doesn't really have an off-season. Downstairs is where it gets interesting, a theatre room, a full wet bar, a temperature-controlled wine cellar built for 1,200 bottles, and a bunk room with 5 queen-size sleeping pods, built for the nights when the whole family's actually here at once. Back upstairs, there's a private pool with unobstructed waters. The pool, the porches, and the primary suite all look straight down at that 6-acre lake. Six bedrooms in total, 8 bathrooms. This is not a house that runs out of room when guests show up. There are 3 ponds on this property, beyond the main lake, and in Tennessee, that kind of water is worth more than it looks. Landowners with acreage like this can lease water rights, or enroll unused timber and buffer land in carbon credit programs, anywhere from $15,000 to $40,000 a year, depending on the market. It's real, but it moves. Step back outside, and this stops being a house and starts being a business. The farm runs two operations, a hay enterprise and a row crop business, with its own headquarters, an office, 2 shops, and covered equipment packing. Every piece of equipment on the property stays with the sale. So, does the current farm staff? They've said they want to keep working here. There's even a separate farmhouse on site for whoever runs day-to-day operations. Now, remember what I said about Ford. 2.5 miles from this farm, Ford and SK Innovation are building Blue Oval City, a $5.6 billion electric vehicle and battery campus. The single largest investment in Tennessee history. When it's fully staffed, it's projected to bring somewhere between 6,000 and 10,000 jobs to this corner of the county. For an owner, that cuts both ways. On one side, a larger local labor pool for farm staff, and land values in the area that have real reason to climb over the next decade. On the other side, more traffic on rural roads that were built for tractors, not commuters, and a quiet, isolated farm slowly getting a little less isolated every year. Construction continues. Here's a fun idea, though, with 3 to 5 people already living and working this land, and thousands more arriving down the road. You've basically got a captive little economy of your own. Open a small farm shop by the headquarters, sell your own honey, eggs, produce, whatever you make. It's not on the listing. It's just an idea. Here's what this actually costs to hold. Property tax, $38,117 a year. On a $35 million property. That works out to about 0.1%. This is Tennessee, and there's no state income tax either. It's been listed since September. Add the tax and the insurance estimate together, and you're looking at roughly $60,000 to $70,000 a year just to hold the property before a single employee gets paid. Some numbers that actually matter if you're picturing living here. Walk score, 0. You are not walking anywhere from this address. Everything happens by truck. The nearest hospital is in Jackson, about 35 miles away. The nearest commercial airport is Memphis International, 51 miles out. For a private plane, there's a regional field in Jackson about 38 miles from the gate. Home insurance on a 10,000 square foot new build like this typically lands somewhere around $20,000 to $30,000 a year. That's an estimate. And it moves with flood and storm risk. Ondoing Comeo Working Sun Turnkey is already generating real revenue from the hay and row crop divisions before you've made a single change. As for running it, the listing says current staff wants to stay. For an operation this size, that typically means somewhere around 3 to 5 full-time people, a manager, equipment operators, and extra hands at harvest. That's an estimate, not a figure off the listing. Honest part now. This sits inside the New Madrid seismic zone, one of the more earthquake-prone regions east of the Rockies. Nothing recent or severe, but insurers factor it in. And 295 days on the market for a house this new. This well-built tells you the buyer pool for a $35 million Tennessee farm is small. It just isn't very deep. One more thing worth knowing about where you'd be standing. Haywood County has grown cotton, corn, and soybeans since the 1820s. It's still one of the top cotton-producing counties in the entire state. This land has been under cultivation for roughly 200 years, through cotton, through the Civil War, through the shift to soybeans and corn. The current farm operation is really just the newest chapter. Picture the version where you actually own this. Morning light on 6 acres of water. Coffee on a covered porch that's already warm from the fireplace. And for square miles of Tennessee that are entirely, quietly, yours.